Hello there and a very warm welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias. Now, the attention of Nigerians were drawn to the return to the country and reinstatement of Abdulrasheed Maina, a former pensions board boss into office who in 2015 was declared wanted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Well, that drew a lot of reactions from many quarters and also took a swipe at the anti-corruption fight of the Buhari administration, as many questions were posed as to how things played out in the case. Well, that will be our focus on the program today, but before we begin, let's take a look at the social media trends in the past week. Undefeated champ Deontay Wilder destroyed Bermane Stiverne by knocking out the out-of-shape challenger with 1 second left in the opening round to retain his WBC heavyweight championship on Saturday. Well, that got tweets tweeting all through the weekend. And English football's big boys met in what was termed a Super Sunday. While Manchester United was hosted by Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, Arsenal visited the blue half of Manchester to take on Manchester City FC at the Etihad Stadium. And that's part of what got tweets tweeting, but let's now join our online contributors to get their thoughts on the return of former pension boss Abdulrasheed Maina.
First of all, I think I really want to appreciate the person who leaked the memo to those memos that has been leaked to Mr. President, and this administration, when they came on board, they promised that they were going to fight corruption. And every Nigerian is looking up to them, the body language of Mr. President, how he reacts to some issues, and everybody is, watching to see the man who promised to fight corruption. And it's very, very unfortunate that Maina issue came up. And Maina issue didn't start with this administration. It started with the PDP administration, and all of a sudden, a man that has been indicted and declared wanted all of a sudden came back to the civil service and rose to the position of a director in the Ministry of Interior. And so you begin to ask questions, and who were those behind all this? Who were those behind the scene when all these things were played? Did they not know that Maina has a case to answer with the pension money? I mean, so it's so embarrassing. It's very, very embarrassing that someone that has been declared wanted, someone that has not even cleared himself up, is coming back to the civil servant. Like, just it's a whole robbing us. It's an embarrassing moment. Like, we don't have structures on ground. What you begin to ask, what is the purpose of the Civil Service Commission and the rest of the whole government apparatus involved in this whole issues?
So some have alleged that Mr. Maina is not alone in this, of course, the allegations that have been leveled against him. But do you think the authorities need to do some digging?
If investigations to start, or proper investigations should be done, in fact, it's not only Maina, there are a lot of people in the chain, there in the value chain. But people have to lose their job. The government has to sack, a lot of people have to go. And anybody that has partake in pension fraud, directly or indirectly, they should be found wanting. All of them should be arrested, and they should refund back that money and let them go in for it. This is so embarrassing that someone that has been found indicted in the past administration comes back in this administration to become a director.
And the president has ordered a probe and received a report on the issue. What are your expectations from this?
I think I don't want to believe that whether the Maina issue started from past administration or the current one is actually inconsequential here. And the point is, this is a man that has an issue to answer. And they all know this right from the beginning. Okay, he was dismissed at some point, then they kind of ran away from the law, whatever, and suddenly he reappeared into the system, right? And there are people who are supposed to keep track of this kind of people in the country, right? There are people supposed to know someone that has an answer, answers to give to the institution, right? And nothing was done, and nobody knew about what was going on with him for the past 4 years or thereabout before he resurfaced again, right? And suddenly he was actually reinstated into the system. So I think there's something going on wrong here with the whole entire system. Okay, we need to begin to keep track of what is going on in the system, and the process is very, very laughable, and kind of ridiculous. But if you think about it, okay, how can you imagine that someone that holds such a position in the country, right, has a question answer to Nigerian people? Nigerian people are those who put them there for crying out loud. And that's an issue without person. And all we get, the person came back and was reinstated. And now what we get is sister blended. I didn't know if he was back. I wasn't responsible. It wasn't my letter. It was my. I mean, this is just that's madness. We don't care about that. The point is that people are supposed to be responsible for these actions, right? And I don't want to call the government response, but my point is that they have to be more proactive than reactive. Right? And that's how you function in a very civilized world. You don't wait for things to grow before you begin to react all over the places. It's like a model of growth all over the places. That's more proactive. If people are not doing their job as they're supposed to do it, there are consequences for bad performances. There are consequences for incompetencies. There are consequences for negligence. That's how it should work. Whether it's still money or not, it's inconsequential. The process is not being open to the people. And they are taking Nigeria for a ride. These are people's money. These are people's livelihoods, like the other guy rightly said initially. But what we're seeing now, people, I mean, a lot of kind of media judgment, okay? Let her to this, let her be here, let her live here, let her live there. But that's not the point. The point is that how do they address the issue?